Hi everyone and welcome back to Warno, and today we got patch 6 and this is one of the new maps. This is Mount River. So we have our river running down here. We've got some mountains over here and along this side. Not a lot going on at this side of the map. It's all sort of focused here. Zoom in here, we've got that lovely tower. I think we've seen that in some of the early information for the game and some of the original videos and things. Quite a big map. Certainly at least a 4v4, I should think. So a lot of area to cover. A lot of points very close together in the center here. I'm just going to show you at this side you can send units across. So there is a bridge here and there is a bridge at the other end. So you can get units, land units across to these sides of the map. I mean, it's going to be a long trek to get all the way to that side. Equally, you know, you can swing some choppers around there or aircraft, so perhaps it's beneficial to, you know, put some anti-air units, some manpads or something up here. Both teams sort of have a reasonable start. 2 points each, pretty big, similar size. And then you've got all of this real estate in the middle of the map. Lots of buildings at this side. Bravo in particular, a lot of buildings in there. Less so for the other points. What the use of this would be, maybe get some units around the back, again helicopters. Again, you probably want a little bit of air defense in there, some scouts maybe to see what's going on. But let's be honest, the focus is going to be these two middle points. And this one is an interesting one because this is like major choke points going on. This whole area here. It's going to be difficult for either side to push through. I think that whoever's at this side is going to have an advantage because you've got this area here with the buildings and there's not a lot in front of it. So if you get some ATGM troops in these buildings, you're going to have good line of sight across there. Again, you know, more bushes here or trees as well for that heavy cover. I think for this point, this is a better position. It's going to be difficult to dislodge anyone from this map, though. Or dislodge from this area of the map, I should say. Because it's such a narrow point here. And, you know, at the moment, we can't go across the water, I don't believe. There's no amphibious units in yet. Ideally, even then, trying to get across here with amphibious units, very easy to be picked off going across there. But trying to push that way, I think this is better for defense having the buildings there, but trying to push that way, very difficult. You're kind of going to be shot at from every angle going through this gap. And the same here, you're going to be shot at from everywhere if you try to go this way. And then this, again, I mean, maybe if one side was holding this entire area, then that's pretty secure, but I wouldn't like to be caught in here with units. I mean, yes, you've got the forest at either side, so you can transfer units through between these points, certainly. But, yeah, it just seems like a really difficult point to be pushing. I feel like this one is going to be someone has a CV here, someone has a CV here, and then that's that point for most of the match, because pushing that point is going to be a nightmare. This side, this is where a lot of the fighting is going to take place, I think. You've got plenty of bushes running all the way up, or trees, all the way up to the other side. Same here, a main road running through, extra roads running through here, a main road down that side. Plenty of trees here. I mean, for me, it's going to be a race to even possibly control here. There's going to be a lot of fighting here, because if you control this side, you sort of control this entire half of the point. If you're at this side, you can manage to get units up to here, you've sort of got this side in control. And then the other side, if you get units up to here, you've kind of got the same control. So I think there's going to be a lot of fighting there. This is a lot of open fields. There's going to be, you know, tanks taking shots at each other, certainly. Plenty of artillery fire coming in on these positions. Zooming in to have a look at the buildings and things. This is quite interesting, sort of a residential area. Big roads for a residential area, I must say. Nice design though. I am appreciating the effort they've gone to with some of these little areas. The back points, loads of buildings. Going to be hard to dislodge someone from there. This side, plenty of hiding places for command vehicles. Few buildings. I don't think it's quite as good as that point. But then I feel like this side probably has a little bit more of a foothold in terms of being able to hold all of these buildings. There's houses there. I don't know actually, you know, I think they're probably similar. There's probably a few more buildings here in terms of being able to put ATGMs in to cover stuff. But it's reasonably balanced there. I think there's going to be a lot of fighting here. And then the usual back and forth across the centre. As for this side, I think it's going to be so difficult, as I say, to push through there. Good map though. I'm looking forward to trying this one. Obviously, bigger games. 3v3, maybe 4v4 would be more my leaning, I think. 2 players starting at each point and pushing up each side. It'd be interesting to see how people utilise these sides of the map, particularly this side, because there's really nothing there to capture. There's a few buildings down here, but they're really not that important. For me, it's more about, can you get units around there? Can you use it to get planes around the back, choppers around the back, scouts around the back, all of that jazz. Interesting. Let's have a look at the next map. So this time we have 2 lakes. Little bit sparser in terms of points to capture. However, there is the ability to capture points, Delta and Echo in this case, which allow you to bring in reinforcements. The lakes, I think Protozoka said the same in his video on the SD League page. There's not a lot going on with this lake. I mean, you can't really utilize it for anything. I mean, you could certainly fly choppers around the back, perhaps. Again, use it to bring aircraft around, but it's nothing special. Looking at the map, I'm intrigued by these tree lines here. I feel like, you know, it's somewhere you're going to have to defend. If you're at this side and you capture Alpha first, you're going to have to defend this area, because it would be very easy for people to bring stuff in Echo and take it all the way down the side of the map and then be in your main base. Whereas at this side, you don't have quite the coverage of forest. Little bits and pieces, but you know, it's not going to be as easy to get into the back of Foxtrot. So for me, you're going to have to be defending here, less so at this side probably. I mean, if you've got control of Charlie or are fighting over it, you're going to have defenses there. The tree line's very thin. It's just all a bit thicker here. Except for that little point there, it's all a bit thicker. Big industrial complex here. I mean, I'm sort of envisaging that if you're starting at Bravo, you're going to be going Delta, you're going to be going Alpha, and then you're going to want to fight over Charlie. If you're starting in Foxtrot at this side, you're definitely going to be going Echo. It's nice and close. Very close, in fact, closer than Delta is to Bravo. And then you're going to be going Charlie. Both of these areas, lots of buildings in them. Easy-ish to defend. Difficult to push into as well, I should imagine. For me, I mean, if you're in Foxtrot, you take Charlie. You're going to be able to fill all these buildings. You're going to be able to play very defensively from anyone trying to push through from there because of all these buildings. At this side, you don't quite have the same thing. So if you're starting in Bravo, you've taken Alpha, you've taken Delta, your industrial buildings are a bit further away from here. Chances maybe of getting in these buildings are a bit of defense, but there's a lot more open field here. It'll be harder to defend, equally harder to attack, of course. But just looking at the design of the map, the placement of buildings outside of the zones, never mind inside, I feel like the amount of cover here is going to make Alpha the point that people will fight over more so than Charlie. I think just being able to bring stuff down these sides, there's a lot more tree cover here. It feels like there's a lot more buildings. I mean, there are some at the side here, but everything just feels closer. There's a lot more cover there. So I think for me on this map, fighting's going to be around Alpha. Certainly they'll be fighting over Charlie as well, but this just feels like the hot zone to me. Lots of opportunity for getting around the back for both sides, with choppers at least, things like that. Certainly scouts. I mean, I'd be inclined to make sure I had some air defenses just scattered around here, and the same here, just to make sure anything that does fly around is put off at the very least by a couple of man pads or something. But yeah, this will be an interesting bit of fighting because there's a lot of open terrain. So I'm interested to see how that pans out, because it's going to be a different style of fighting to what we've seen in some of the maps so far, certainly. A lot more ranged tank combat, I think. And I would fully imagine a lot of artillery being used. Comparing this to Mount River, for example, I feel like there's going to be a lot more close fought battles and, you know, up close and personal combat going on, where here I feel like it's going to be a bit more spread out. Let's take a look at the final map, which is basically just a single player 1v AI version of Death Row. Now, I think I said in the comments for SD League that I really like the idea of this map. As someone who does tutorial videos and things like that, people find these games difficult to get into. It's the same with Wargamer and Dragon, it's going to be the same with Warno. Having stuff like this is really helpful. It streamlines a game. So that, you know, you're not going outside of this area, it's all in this area. People can focus on playing against an AI, learning the game, learning how to push, learning how to defend, learning how to take points. And, you know, you can't do that even when this map is extended slightly. To have this side in and have those 2 extra points, it means that people have to multitask immediately. They can't learn to play the game by taking it a little bit slower, a bit at a time. So I think this is quite a nice map. I like the idea. I think it's helpful for new players. It'll also be good for me when I'm making videos to do examples and things, because it means I can concentrate on showing off things in the middle of the map and not having to worry about the AI going crazy over there when I don't have anyone to assist me. So, you know, I quite like this idea. I'm glad they've added this. Hopefully it will be part of some kind of tutorial in the future. Hopefully they'll do their own tutorials for this game. I have my fingers crossed. Fine, let's have a look at the other patch notes now. So I'm going to be super boring with this and just have the patch notes sort of in the background here as we read through them, because, well, there's not much to say other than having a look through at this point, but I will see if there's anything worth actually testing out and putting up a separate video for that. So, patch notes finalized the transport section of the interface in the deck editor. Great, that's really good to hear. I'm glad they've reworked the editor. We'll have a look at that in another video, because I'll certainly be viewing a deck video when these new divisions come out, the German ones, hopefully next week. Transports can now use smart orders of the units they transport. For instance, an unarmed transport can seize a location if it transports infantry. Added a time limit option to the lobbies, hallelujah, 20, 30, 40, 60 minutes or no time limit. Added an option for tactic minimalist target infos that allows to reduce the quantity of information displayed on the targeting cursor. The option is turned off by default. That's fine. A little bit less information if there's too much going on for people. Added the number of identical weapons in the unit info panel. For instance, the M1 Abrams displays 2 times the M240 instead of just M240. Added a reveal influence in the unit info panel. It indicates which units can reveal the influence of commanders in the commandment zones. That's interesting. I didn't know that was in there. Stun effect doesn't prevent from moving anymore. I'm confused about stun effect. Surely stun effect should prevent... I don't know. If you're stunned, should you be able to move? I'm not sure where they're going with that. Various localization fixes, as you'd expect. Fixed the Dublon M113 transport for the 8th Infantry Division's fire teams. Fixed the Rangers optics. I didn't know they were broken. Fixed some M151 prices and HP, which had been omitted from the previous truck and jeep generic changes. Fixed some helicopters anti-plane gun range. I didn't even realise that a helicopter had an anti-jet gun, of all things. That was news to me. Fixed a bug where the missile would go through the target without damaging it, occurring when the distance between the shooter and the target was too short. My question would be how short, because I know that for some missiles there is like a time to arm thing so that they don't blow up in your face. So, query on that one. Fixed a bug occurring giving you right-click attack orders on bombers. Fixed Winchester evacuation not working as intended. Fixed units getting stuck in leaving district stake if the building got destroyed during their exit. Fixed infantry being visible in destroyed transports. Fixed AA unnecessarily moving when targeting helicopters. Fixed a rare case where a command unit could leave the zone without losing ownership if it stayed very close from the border of the zone for a long time before leaving. Interesting. Fixed being able to use a smart order through the shortcut even though it wasn't available for the selected unit. Oh, interesting. Fixed missiles sometimes going through their target when they were fired too close. That was such an important fix, they put it in there twice. Fixed being able to spawn helicopters in forests. This also fixes the permanent fervivity bonus they would gain from a forest spawn. So they permanently got a hiding bonus. That's interesting. Fixed in-game player list not compatible with 10v10s. Fixed bombers being able to bomb flying helicopters. Fixed ECM not being applied properly. So previously 20% ECM against 50% accuracy missile would reduce its accuracy to 50% minus 20, which is 30%. Now it will be correctly 20% ECM against a 50% accuracy missile will reduce its accuracy by 20% to 40%. As in 20% of 50% is 10%. Therefore, it leaves 40%. Seems reasonable. Fixed manual orders sometimes being ignored because of rules of engagement. Manual orders should now always work independently from the rule of engagement settings. Fixed destroyed buildings having a black outline. Fixed not being able to use the advanced deployment of recon units when in transports. Hallelujah, that's been a long time coming. Fixed a performance issue that would get worse the longer the game goes when the AI or smart orders of a real player tried to unload a helicopter. Oof, that's a nasty bug. Note the AI can't. Oh wow, the AI still can't unload helicopters. This will be fixed in a later patch. That's unfortunate. Fixed infantry commanders being able to capture command zones from inside their transports. They will now need to unload. I was going to say, I kept thinking that infantry were capping it from inside transports, but I wasn't certain. UI performance slightly improved. Generic changes decreased the 107 and 120mm mortars rate of fire. Hallelujah. Standardized CV units optics, standardized helicopter optics. Reprice of transport helicopters across the board. Infantry anti-tank weapons, the RPG and bazookas, will now be more efficient. There are no AP changes, but damage calculation is now the same as Wargame Red Dragon. That's a nice change for the closer range RPGs and things. MMG and HMG can now engage helicopters. For Warpack, they've renamed the SU-24 and SU-25 cluster bombers bombs to their correct naming. They standardized the Grom and SPG-9 at 1,500 meter range. Renamed the Concon M to just Concon. The Mi-8 transport can't be refunded, just like the Bradleys. On the NATO side, added HE round to the M67 RCL, replaced the M113 ACAV M6 RCL with the proper M40A1 fitting this model. Increased the price of an M1 Abrams from 140 to 150. Increased the M1 Abrams command price from 240 to 250. And decreased the Red Eyes price from 25 to 20 because they're useless. They didn't add that, I did. So that's everything for this patch. Nice to get a little update, some nice fixes there that have been a long time coming. They're saying that hopefully we should be getting Devout next week. They're giving it hopefully to the strike team this week so they can test it and test for any crashes, and then we should get our hands on it next week, so fingers crossed. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. This was a short one, but hopefully we might get another dev blog on Friday, though it does say at the top this is a dev blog and it's early this week. I would argue it's a set of patch notes rather than a dev blog, but you know, whatever they want to call it. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you all soon.